Language is full of metaphors. We use them all the time, more than we realize. To demonstrate that, I want to do an exercise. At the count of 3, I want you to call me a name. Specifically, I want you to call me an animal. Pick any animal you'd like. Ideally, just go with whatever comes to mind first. You don't need to overthink this. I can't hear you, so don't worry. I'm not going to be taking any of it personally. Just yell out, "You!" and then pick the animal you want. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. You! What did you say? You rat, you dog, you worm, you pig, you chicken, you snake. Oh gosh, a lot of these are really negative, aren't they? This is starting to sound like my inner voice. I hope some of you yelled out things like, "You fox," or "You tiger." Just as we use animals as metaphors in English, so does every language, including Biblical Hebrew. Now we're going to be looking at the book of Proverbs today, which uses a lot of metaphors, especially animal metaphors. What an animal meant back then, however, might be different from what it means today. So let's just go over some of those metaphors that we find in Proverbs. And to give full credit, this comes from a book by Sergio Rochesberti. To just pick out a handful of the animals that are used in Proverbs, we've got ants, which symbolize hard workers, locusts, which are respected for organizing like an army, but they're also dangerous. Snakes are sneaky and dangerous. Eagles are things that are seen as distant. Vultures, all-consuming. Roosters are stately and pompous. Bears are danger. Lions are aggressive and ferocious. A dog is a fool, returning to its own vomit. Rams, goats, lambs, things that herd, are things needing care and protection. Donkeys and horses are things that need to be kept under control. The ox would be a symbol of strength. In today's sermon, we'll be focusing more on wealth in Proverbs, so there's 2 animal metaphors related specifically to that. First is the fatted ox, a metaphor of the bounty at the table of the affluent. Wealth can be like the yoke that enslaves the oxen. The wealthy are also compared with a lion or a bear, but not in a good way. A wicked king is like a dangerous animal. So it's this accusation against well-off rulers who devour the poor. One thing that strikes me about these animal metaphors is how many of them represent some form of danger. In the animal insults that you hurled against me, a lot of them depicted negative traits, but not necessarily dangerous ones. We live in a world without the same fear of predators, which is a very different world from the ancient one. For the writers of Proverbs, they saw a dangerous world without a lot of security and the social nets that we take for granted today. Bear in mind that as we talk about the wisdom expounded by Proverbs, which focuses a lot on wealth, wealth in that worldview is not just prosperity, but it has an emphasis on self-preservation. It's about safety. This is written at a time when the people of Israel weren't safe. The advice being given is like that from a parent worried about their child's future. Listen to the voice of wisdom, because there are so many snares that could entrap you in the world today. Maybe this ancient fear isn't so different from us today. Like the animal metaphors that they used, we might not completely understand where they're coming from. Can any of us really walk in another's shoes? But we can relate to it surprisingly well. There's a wisdom in it for us today. Let's hear more of that wisdom as we listen to the book of Proverbs.